I would say we just go ahead and get started. 6 o'clock.
All right, we'll get started. And so Chris is not here. Commissioner Randall. There. Cool. Ron. No Ryan and then no. Okay. Do you want to introduce our new?
Yeah, everyone, this is Shelby Richardson. She's our newest park board member. If you just want to tell me about yourself.
So I'm Shelby. I live here in Cheney. I'm a REM student at EWU, junior year. REM. Recreation Experience Management. I'm in Recreation Tourism Management concentration. Super love it, super thrilled to be here and serve my community. I'm an Air Force veteran. My husband is active duty still at Fairchild, and I'm a very proud auntie and dog mom.
Cool. No, it's 6 o'clock. It's right. 6:01. We started at 6.
Mine only said 6, sorry. My bad.
As soon as you lose by 1
I'm
minute.
telling you, man.
Not earlier.
My bad.
Yeah.
So first of all, we just wanted to say that we want to zoom these meetings along. So I'm going to try and focus our focusing. So if I don't do that, then you need to smack me upside the head.
Limit our comments to 2 minutes.
Yes. Like we do in the city council meetings,
Yeah.
they can't say a word. 50 seconds left, 45 seconds left. Okay. Citizen participation.
We do. We might have somebody that wants to respond.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
We love it. We're so glad you're here.
Thanks. I'm a little nervous to be here, honestly.
Well, don't be nervous.
Anyway. My name is Becca. I am a mom to a 2-year-old disabled daughter. I also have my own disabilities. I'm also a leader, a teacher at homeworks, walking duties, and for homeworks, homeschooling conference program. And I am a community manager with the Artist Coaching, making individuals with developmental and intellectual disabilities with like in underrepresented communities with the services that are provided. Some of my questions are along those lines. Is like what I was at the city council meeting last night, and I have kind of been following along with the progression of the pool on social media, and kind of like my thoughts and questions on like what are the goals to make sure that this is inclusive for people with disabilities, and ensuring that there's enough disabled parking for people that want to utilize the pool. And in addition to that, one area of concern that I have as a parent, my daughter is an ambulatory wheelchair user, which means that she doesn't use the wheelchair full time. Sometimes she needs it, and sometimes she has surgeries where she is in a full-time wheelchair. And when she's had those surgeries, I've realized how inaccessible so much of our communities are. And that is an area where I have become aware that, like, when you have, for me, I just have one child. So when she's in a wheelchair, I can support her and it's a lot easier. But there are people in families in our community where they have multiple children and they have a child that's in a wheelchair full time. And so that's one of my areas of concern with public facilities like this is how are you making sure that like there are spaces for families with wheelchair users. You know, it's like kind of an area of concern that I had that I didn't see really addressed in any of the dialogue or discussion with this. And just like actually maybe getting like an actual wheelchair user in for things with like bathroom usage and things, because that is one area where I have had experience where I tried to come in and help my daughter with going to the bathroom and things like that, and bathrooms, like while they are ADA compliant, they are not always functional for wheelchair users, and especially when you're having up and get changed or like stand up, like if you're in a toilet stall, there's not enough space to stand up and help your child change and use the bathroom and have their chair. So just like thinking about things like that is an area where I would love to see some consideration or just dialogue with it, because I haven't really seen a whole lot of that. My thoughts also were just like, I saw like the pictures of the plan, and I love the drop off area, and I was like a spot I envisioned having a great spot for ADA working is right there where the trail meets, and there's like an opening, and I think you guys can also so there's a drop off in the space there, I think, and then maybe on the other end of the trail having and maybe somehow, I don't know the wording or the release for it, but like having one of those spots just like I said, I don't know the wordage or how to navigate that, but that's just some thoughts.
Tell us your name again.
Hi, Becca.
It's nice to meet you guys.
Nice to
We're
meet
so glad you came and talked to us about it.
Yeah, there's just so many things that you don't really think about, and like unless you actually experience it and actually experience something that like advocate for that to be talked about.
Do you know what would be really great for me, Becca, is if maybe you wrote up some ideas of what a great bathroom would be, what it would be.
Yeah.
And then maybe just drop it off here at the.
Yeah, I can do that with my 10-year-old. That's one thing like that there with her freshman. She has been playing about things like the family bathrooms there, which is great. But also they don't have like the spinner in that dedicated bathroom, so then you have to go around to the other family, like the whole locker room. So there's just a lot of like user functionality that like isn't really that big of a deal, but just those minor inconveniences in your daily life when like just things like that really add up when you're in a situation or offices. Like those things that you can take away.
Yeah, we would love it if you could write down all the ideas.
Yeah. Cool. That'd be great. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. I don't know if we can sit or stay.
You're welcome.
You're welcome to go.
Stay home, stay home.
Actually, don't feel obligated.
I'm like, I don't know the transition.
Thank you for your guys' time. And you can come sit over here if you want.
Oh, yeah, I'm okay.
Okay. Anybody else? You know what though? I don't know your name. Oh, I'm Hallie. Hallie, nice to meet you. I go to Eastern as well.
Oh, okay.
I know Shelby from our classes together, and she informed me that she came to a member, and actually Dan and Kelly came into her class and brought the pool to at least my attention, so just had some general questions and some interest in it, so. Awesome. So great to know.
In the same situation, we're all three of us were in the class for they come in
So who's your instructor?
Chris is
Oh, that's good.
I know, right? We love it. We love it when people come.
I think I was a minute late. There's all these new people here.
I love it. Okay, we want to approve the minutes. Second. And, oh, we already did Shelby. And so we can go with the aquatics update.
Right. Do you want to go first, or do you want me to?
No, just you.
Oh, just me?
Yeah.
I'm Brooke Hanley, for anyone who I haven't met yet. I work with NAC Architecture. I guess you can take that whole thing. And I wasn't anticipating so many people, so I only have 8 copies. So some people might have to share a little bit, look over his shoulder, or you can break it apart. There's new images. So these are some new images that we just created for the phase that we finished, the design development phase. And so those are for you to look at, enjoy, also provide feedback. There are some new things that are different from the SD level renderings, some views of the interior spaces potentially. So if you have any thoughts about the finishes or the atmosphere or how we're showing things in there, we'd love that feedback as well. We're thinking that as you come in there, that desk might be a nice, hardy, solid surface material, and then maybe we have some fun there on the front with some wood, what we call them wood cookies, where you might cut a log across the grain and kind of put them there in the front as tying back to our cabin at the lake theme. So other items, the lighting ties into that, the wood on the wall potentially tie into that too. And then using a little bit of pop of color where we have on the sign on the outside, suggested maybe to have some kind of camp themed colors there. So that's tying back into that. Some other updates are the pools, and this board has a zoomed out view of the park, of the whole park with the pool. And so you can see that we've now incorporated the vortex into that area of the lazy river that we had talked about before, which wasn't in the SD renderings, this current design, which are last phase. So we've updated the layout of the deck and how that relates to this hangout area over there, the poured in place surfacing instead of the grass inside the fence. So we heard wanted to incorporate that because that seemed to be a real want. Nice. So there's also a little area here that's raised. So we've been working through the grading of the site, and there's an area there where the food truck could drive up. The food truck would actually have been a little bit higher than the deck. So we've raised up this little platform. Also, it has a little ramp for it to be ADA accessible. So if there's a food truck there, you can go up the ramp, and we're going to study whether we can get that to be long enough so we don't even need the handrails. It's a nice, gentle ramp. To just talk about this area real quick, because we bring up some accessibility concerns. This area is a zero depth entry where the old pool used to be, 4 feet, and that was your choice, right? This is not technically a ramp, but it is sloped from 0 down to 2.5, and you could walk right into that or roll into it. Everything else down here, that's a ramp that goes down into this deeper part, and all of the bottom of the pool is on the same level there.
And Brooke, how deep is that?
Say that like one more time.
How deep is the part that's?
Lazy River?
No, at the, right there, yeah.
How do you get in here?
How deep is that?
Oh, how deep is that? I'm sorry. I can't hear over the. It's okay. Let's see. That part is 4.5 at the deepest part way over here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because when you get into the lazy river, that's 3.5.
Okay.
So then it slopes down from there. In the lap pool, specifically, there is an ADA chair. We don't have a ramp in that one, but we do have a set of stairs and an ADA chair that will lower you into the water. Let's see, what else am I missing? Oh, the storage building has now moved over here so that we have more space in the deck area out there where it was much more. It was getting congested up there.
Yeah, and the idea is when we took a look at that stage area, just because of that elevation, you can see where obviously you can have a little bit of dining features, and anybody that's within the park could actually walk in and do this dining. This is also elevated, so we're trying to pay attention to the audio and visual on this. So if you wanted to have a movie in the pool, you could actually have that raised up. But also the location of this is kind of nice too, because if the pool's shut down for the year, we could possibly figure out where we can turn this and go the other way with some of the items. So we're trying to strategically take a look at that. And Beck, to really answer your question, ADA is right here, 2 or 3, and we did have some discussions about filling, like you said, north of that.
Yeah, and everything inside the building meets the current ADA code, but like you said, if there are some things that we could tweak to make it just a little bit more comfortable and accessible, then we'd be happy to do that.
Specifically, what ADA features are inside the building?
All of the bathrooms, I mean, everything's on the same level. All the bathrooms meet the current ADA code as far as all the dimensions and everything. All the floors are flat or sloped at a rate that is within compliance. So, and the building department will be looking over our shoulders too to make sure that we met all of those. But sometimes there's, like she said, some user comfort items too.
It's hard to
that are
do.
beyond
It's
code.
hard to do wheelchair transfer in tight spaces.
Yeah, I'm kind of thinking of, a wooden slatted bench, because they're wet in a wet swimsuit.
Mhm.
And if they're in that family bathroom, or they could transfer from the wheelchair to the toilet to a bench to put on their dry clothes.
That is one area where we have difficulty even at, just like the airways, our newer facility, just getting her dressed. Because the only bench to sit in gets wet when you're sitting on it and trying to change. So yeah, things just like that, things like that make a big difference.
Yeah, we do have 2 universal changing rooms, we'll call them, excuse me, that anybody can use. And those are the larger rooms that we can fit in a separate bench from where the shower bench is too. And then, excuse me, the bigger locker rooms do have the wider stalls for the toilet compartments and for the shower compartments too. We're trying to keep the middle open so it's easy to traverse, and there's a deeper bench included in the locker rooms too for transfer. So these are fun to update. One other thing there on the side, that one yellow side is a little bit ghosted in. It's what we call it. That means that it's potentially, if it doesn't fit into the budget now, it could be added in the future. But we didn't want to forget about that second slide.
So I don't know if this is the right time to ask this question, but I've brought it up before, the fact that we could ask for a donation, like STCU, the STCU slide. When do we move forward with that? If we want to do something like that.
We all turn to Dan. Dan is reaching far, with that, trying to figure out, do you donate on the towards the pool itself? Do you donate a certain item where there might be a basketball hoop? So we have plenty of opportunities to kind of see that. Now that we have more of a cost associated with it, we can kind of go out there and kind of do that ask. One thing, Dan can jump in here if he wants. One thing that we're also asking is a continual support for either some of the programs or possibly donating to allow maybe a better price on admission and that. So all of those things kind of are in discussion is how we move forward.
Yeah, isn't that something we're hoping the county would?
Well, I was going to poke Paul on the side here because I think this is a kind of a regional effect. Even though it's City of Cheney, it will have a regional draw, and I would anticipate a large number coming from outside the city who may live in the county. And I think it only be fair to ask our county commissioners that simply put, cut us a check every year for the operation would be great. And so yeah, we've had all those discussions as we move forward, but lately it's just been Brooke's just trying to keep us under control with all this stuff and keep us under budget. So once we move forward, and I think this is kind of the end step, because after tonight, NAC will be in full speed ahead, 50% drawings this week. 80% by March 15th, because we know that the building code changes on March 15th, so that is our deadline to get everything ready to go. And then 100% by, I don't know if I'm saying thunder, 100% by April 15th, which means that'll give us 2 weeks to review the documentations, clean it up, and go out to add by May 1st. So if you're talking, we're in February and May, this is a pretty fast-moving project, so we probably won't see a lot of that between tonight and April 15th, but we will have our weekly meetings and everything else, but that's our focus right now. We're kind of a little late on kind of making that concrete or Mertha pool decision, but I think we're comfortable with the Mertha of what we've seen. We've done some, we do have a meeting with Mertha next week, or
Yeah, it's coming up.
Yeah, so there's a lot of stuff in play, but Dan's been working hard. Obviously, he was up with Eastern students. I think he's going to, is it Kiwanis next week?
Rotary tomorrow.
Rotary tomorrow, okay. Yeah. So we are.
Okay, I'm just wondering if there's any way that we can help.
So just to follow up on that, so we had a meeting on Monday with the Spokane Parks Foundation and Eastern's grant writing department. And the Spokane Parks Foundation is making our sponsorship level. So they're basically trying to make a custom approach to approach donors, sort of like getting like the slide, for example, and the different things. And so we're close. It's kind of in a weird spot, because we'd like to start hitting the ground running, because there's a lot of money to be asked. But we're also trying to finalize what the actual numbers are to honor donor intent. So like if we say X amount for something, that as we kind of finalize the numbers here, we actually know exactly what we're asking for.
Right.
Hopefully very soon here, though.
One thing that we are looking forward to is presenting what we have here to the West Plains Chamber of Commerce. And also the West Plains Chamber of Commerce has kind of this other group, they're called DIRT, and it's basically all of the large contractors within the region, and just kind of offering that donation package and everything else.
This is other communities do a gifting catalog. So you have a ready-made program where if someone wanted to have, say, buy a cabana, it's 10 grand for 5 years, or any components, if you have all that ready.
We already have that in place. We were doing that for the dog park.
Yeah, but if you want to do it for the pool specifically, you could easily break out components and assign $1. It doesn't have to pay for the capital, as a matter of fact. If we meet our budget, that could go for O&M or the annual pool costs. And you could do it per year. They could have their name on a cabana. They could have a name on one of the rooms. They could buy the slide. I mean.
And you actually described it better than I am. That's what Spokane Parks Foundation is working on for us right now. Okay. It's basically just that.
If you have it laid out and they can just pick and choose, it makes it a lot easier to approach gifters.
And one of the other things along those lines is that the Parks Foundation is trying to arrange a meeting at the appropriate time with the mayor and Mark to help identify, who would be some good people in the community to ask. And then to your point, as far as once we get those materials, very much a group effort. Like all of us can be involved in asking, because there's going to be levels. We'll try to make a level for everyone. Maybe as low as like $100, and to see what we can do collectively.
Yeah, well, I know that, once it's open and running, I know that the Cheney Credit Union will always be happy to do a free night or a free Saturday swim or something like that. They're very open to that. I know when I was getting the free swims up at Eastern, they paid for that. They said, don't even ask them to us. And so then, because I called STCU, that's a great big rigmarole to do that.
Oh, it
So
is.
I was like, okay, never mind.
Well, if you get enough lead time, because the
Well, right,
excuses,
plus if you have all your ducks
we
in a
gotta run it
row,
up to corporate, but that's why the catalog comes in so handy. You know, the other thing I would suggest is don't make it forever. There's a time limit to these, otherwise then it's like if it's forever, then, but if it's a 5 or 10 or whatever, then there's an amount each year type thing, and at the city's discretion for, you know, defraying some of the operation costs would be great. And if we're in a pinch come bid time, maybe they would have to buy a slide, get everyone together to.
Well, I mean, when I looked at this budget, you know, an additional slide has the cost there. The mini Ninja, I'm not sure what that is, but something.
Yeah, we are showing it just in case this does go out and we can't afford it, then it's not,
Yeah,
it's not like on there.
yeah, but you know, that'd be something, and so that's why I was asking.
And even within this 543,000 that has the single flume, the aqua zipping, you know, the diving board, the climbing wall, these are smaller things that they could do 15,000 or 20,000 and would buy those smaller elements too.
Yeah.
So my question is, like, some of the programs that would be, like if they did paddleboard, yoga, that kind of stuff, is that in the budget to buy that kind of stuff, or is that something that we would have to figure out?
That would, I would say that, yeah, go ahead, Brooke, that's kind of fallen under the $100,000 allowance in our furniture and equipment including, so
Okay.
as we get close to building and kind of prioritizing what we're looking at, yeah, and whether that would be under the bond amount, or would that be just kind of future program rec things that we offer by year after year, just as we develop those programs.
Yeah, so I think the message with this sheet here is that we're currently doing okay, staying under the 13 million if we break out some of these alternates. So you'll see up here at the top, what we're calling alternates are things that we could add if the funding is available, or if the bid comes in at a better price than what we're currently estimating. So that's why those are broken out and I have zeros next to them right now, because we don't know for sure.
The whole intent of the budget was we knew that we would have some alternates, but the whole scope of it was to get the pool and the you know, the center, and then all the amenities that was really recognized, you know, during that survey and everything else. So yeah, this is just kind of a bonus if we can come in under this and start thinking about alternatives as we move along with the project.
So my question is, what about the liner? Is that included in the budget? Can we afford the?
So the cost of the pools did go up in this budget compared to the last budget update.
Went up by
So-
4%.
Yeah, that's right. Dan did the math.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Yeah, in a way it is, but we were given a range of, we were kind of thinking up to 10% would be the variance between the two products.
Oh.
One of the pools actually came in, the competition pool came in, was it like 80,000 less, I think, for the stainless steel, but the curves of the leisure pool was considerably more. So average, it's basically, if you break it out over 25 years, it's roughly $7,500 more per year for the stainless steel.
So I wrote
What's our
down
estimated
some
cost?
questions after watching the MRSA thing, and I was all in until they said they cracked. Did they tell us why? Was it because it was adhesive to the concrete? Because we're not doing concrete, we're doing steel, right?
Yeah, so for Walla Walla, what I think happened is that between the panels, there is a liquid PVC that seals the panels. And what they had discovered was that in the installation process, this was back in, I think, 2015 or so, that there wasn't a good seal between the two. So Martha ended up honoring their warranty on that and took care of it.
No, but it probably it took them, 6 months to fix it, right? So then bring in a company and do all that stuff. So my question is, if we did the liner, and we would be with the steel, so we're not doing anything with concrete when we do the steel, correct?
Just a
And
slab.
The slab is steel.
Oh, just
Or
the
is
slab.
concrete, yeah.
But the steel is what's around it, correct?
Yes, all the walls are steel
Okay.
with that PVC coating.
Okay. And then he talked about how important it was to have somebody oversee the project. So would that be you, Dan?
Well,
That have to show up every day and every hour and making sure that they're not putting a
well,
crack in the liner?
no, that's not me.
Oh, okay.
I'll do it, but I'm not the guy for that. I think they were talking about, well, first off, a couple things, that we're gonna be hiring a construction inspector.
Yeah, so when you hear those stories, when you talk about maybe the Croc Centers and the YMCA's and even the outdoor facilities, these facilities were kind of built early on, 2009, all the way up until 2015. What we have now currently is that Murtha has basically the company out of Florida, and they also have basically Murtha certified contractors. Texas Athletics. Texas Aquatics around. So we have more of these qualified contractors. So quality control, QC, I made a presentation to council. That's probably the most important. So we are recommending that we bring in a construction expert who will help us as a third party independent to oversee the entire construction project and be there every hour that they are there.
And the Murtha people would be there and they're the certified. So whatever company comes from Texas or Florida, they stay until it's completely done and they oversee it to make sure it's done correctly.
So there's a lot of elements in the pool. The pool element is just one. So I would imagine that the construction bid is going to be some large firm, like a Boughton, one big firm that you see like up at Eastern, because it's going to have to be a good size because they're going to have to bond $13 million worth of projects or up to that. So it has to be a fairly good sized company. Their subs are probably going to be, if we spec the Murtha pool, the subs are going to have to be at least experienced in Murtha, or if not Murtha certified. We can put that in the specs. We require that. That's a qualification of the project. As far as inspections, we hope to have a person, a third-party person, not Dan or anybody else, but a third-party person that we oversee. Yeah. So, and it works well. We do that out of the wastewater treatment plant. We do have a third-party inspector there. And not only, he is involved. He takes notes. He does the inspections. He coordinates and makes sure all of our proper testing is all done. And that's how you really control that. On the Murtha side, the Murtha has to be put together. So, and Murtha representatives themselves, and correct me if I'm wrong, Brooke, they have to come in and they have to inspect it for us to get the warranty, just like with anything else.
Right.
So,
and so the warranty was 25 years?
25 years on the wall, 10 years on the floor. And so we are kind of putting together what we consider would be, when this facility opens up, not only operation and maintenance, but the maintenance program has really got to be, this is a new facility, we need to take care of it. And so not only does the maintenance have to be very important, but when you talk about 10 years on the floor, when we have the discussion, our facility is only open 2 to 3 months out of the year, where these facilities are open 365 days. So does that 10 years equate to longer? There's a lot less bather load when we don't even have a pool open 9 months out of the year. So yeah, there's been all of that discussion of how that works, but 10 years of Murtha is 10 years. But the question is, the hole on my boat's only a 7-year hole, and it's old now, and hopefully it doesn't fall apart. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Because if you take care of it, it should last a long, long time.
Right.
I think we were hearing from everyone that they feel like the maintenance on the Murtha pools, anyone who had a concrete pool before thought that the Murtha maintenance was less overall. I think that was my impression.
Yeah, and just a couple things. I think that the Walla Walla people were basically, they were saying, make sure that you hire a contractor that has experience with a MRTA. And I think that's what they learned the hard way. And the other thing is we went and visited the city of Pasco, their outdoor pool, and they've had their liner for 15 years. And they don't strike me as like a facility that's overly like going crazy on maintenance. So, I mean, I feel like they were sort of winging it a little bit, and they still were getting 15 years out of their liner. So to Todd's point, if we take really good care of it, hopefully we can really extend that.
Okay. All in. I'm all in.
I do have a version of the liner if you're interested in touching, feeling.
And is it gonna be blue like that?
Our options are blue or white. Do you have a preference?
No, just the rules that they have for the lifeguards to.
Yeah, I probably wanted white, honestly, wasn't it? It's-
White does give it a more of a clean pop, and then with the water combination, you can see that blue, and you can see people.
Did they say anything about the yellow? Does it yellow? The liner yellow after a while? Is there a way to clean it?
Well,
Nope. It's okay.
where the liner is, where a concrete pool, and you explain a concrete pool when we paint it, it looks nice for a little while, but then it starts to exactly flake. And you know the reason why is that when you pour any foundation, unless you are 100% accurate to get that properly vibrated, all the air entrained out of the concrete, what you're going to run into is a lot of pits on that wall. Now, you can go try to finish it and kind of stick them in there, but they won't last. So what happens is when you paint the wall, right, it looks good, and when you start filling it, guess where that water goes? It seeps behind that paint and pops. So when you open up the pool like we've had, it looks great. A month later, you're starting to see all these little, it looks like dirt spots, but what happens is that paint starts peeling away and cracking. So we feel it's whether we get a good product for a couple of years, but we would still have to be very aggressive in painting it every year or every other year to really make it look nice and prevent it. With a MRTA pool, you drain it and you pressure wash it, and you put, basically brooms, kind of brushes, and it's like a PVC. And if you ever had a PVC that was discarded, you can really clean it back to being. So.
And why didn't we want that color blue?
I think this was saying something to do with that they have to be, but I'm sure that they know their stuff, and they wouldn't give us a liner that wouldn't be.
There are certain states that don't allow.
Oh.
There are certain states that don't allow the color. Washington State does, right?
You can do the light blue like this, or the white. The MRTA white, they have discovered now that the titanium dioxide that's used to make the white is actually giving antimicrobial properties to that color as well. So they just started like advertising the white as having that benefit even over the blue from that perspective.
So are you leaning toward white?
Yeah, it's in color contrast. You're right, because people are looking there. Maybe a light blue swimsuit or something like that, white. I was scolded by Mike at the center that no one should even be wearing cotton. We should all be wearing spandex type materials, because cotton really fuzzes up the water. It hurts the filters, and he showed us the filter of it. It's kind of ugly. So
yeah, it looks like the dryer.
Like a dryer lint. Look at this. He goes, people should be wearing spandex materials.
Yeah.
We should never do that. Okay.
Any other questions? I want to respect your time limit.
Do you know what type of floor we're going to have in the locker rooms?
Right now it's brushed concrete, broomed finish.
Epoxy is a bid alternate, right?
Epoxy is a bid alternate. Yeah, it's not in the list here, but
it's like an $18,000 upgrade. But
any type of like mats or honeycomb flooring that they have up at Eastern, or the water can.
That would be an option if you're feeling like
They're
that's
nasty.
necessary.
You have to clean them.
they have to do that every morning. Yeah.
Kids pee on them, and they don't get clean. I don't know, there's gotta be a better way.
I mean, the epoxy floor is a very nice option.
Okay.
It's whether or not the estimate gets.
Because you can clean it, like you could dump, squeegee, use a hose and clean it, but those mats,
Yeah, they're not there.
Well, if I may, at city council, that was one of the messages we were, well, I think we're talking about, putting your money in it up front now for maintenance and operation savings later. Because capital funds, again, we can get those sometimes a lot easier than annual M&O. So I'm looking, and I know council is too, that whatever we can do to invest now in low maintenance items is what I'm really proposing, so that we can save money, for future councils.
And a finished concrete is very low maintenance. It just depends on your contractor. Hopefully they do a good job and it's not too textured or not too smooth. So it's finding that right
because
balance.
concrete smooth is very slippery.
Oh,
Yes,
What would
and
the
you're not
epoxy
allowed
be,
to-
also a broom finish?
Epoxy is a spray-on product that has like a sand texture
You can
built
Okay.
into
add
it.
sand.
Okay,
So it's not overly bumpy, so
Right.
it's too hard to clean, but it has a little texture so you don't
okay,
slip.
yeah, actually, I did.
A lot of places end up adding that after.
Yeah,
Because it gets cut out at the beginning.
it does look nice.
And
It's,
so that's 18,000, right?
well, 20,
Was it 20?
yeah.
20,000, and I'm looking at, we've got 135 to spend, right?
Well, so there's that. I'll point out the contingency up here above the line, in the gray is 187. So that's like unearmarked money at this point. We have some escalation figured in there, whether we see some inflation between now and May. And then there is some contingency down below, right above the red number. That's for if things come up during construction, or if you're not using it, you can say, okay, contractor, I'd like to have a change order for this. And then, yes, we have some remaining money down there. So, we're trying to build in those buffers, because not everything is 100% known until bid day.
Awesome.
I do have one more question for you guys, specifically about the park, if you have one more second. So there's a sign right here on the corner of the park, and we were wondering if, since the parking's gonna be over here, if you wanna maintain the sign over there, or look at it, replacing it somewhere else, whether that's here or in a different corner. Do you have any thoughts, or if you just wanna
The
think
sign
about
that says Hibbard Park.
Hagelin.
No, that's my, that's Helen.
Hagelin.
Hagelin, that's what it was.
Yeah, it does have a sign right now that says Hagelin Park.
That's a good question. Do we have room?
We have room here, and it could stay here if you wanted to stay there, too.
My thought is if we're incorporating the tennis courts and that area over there to be part of the greater park, then maybe leaving it where it is, so.
That's a good idea.
I think a lot of the
It's not
traffic
very
comes that way, rather than coming from the football stadium down, you know what I'm saying? So I think most of the traffic's gonna be coming that way, seeing that first before they get to the.
Yeah, because the Cheney Aquatics facility is really signed on the building, so you know when you're in the Cheney Aquatics facility.
Yeah, that sign will be
Yeah,
here
right
on
there.
this corner.
I think it's fine, Martin.
Perfect.
Small detail, but this also was added, the parking on this side of the street since the last meeting. It was just diagonal, but they widened it a little bit so that you can park on this side too, to add for some more parking spots.
Is that still assuming the city vacates that road?
We don't, we would close it.
Just close it?
By RC, I can ask council to close it. The street up above, where Betts is, that's been closed for a long time. But we're able, I have a criteria in RCW that we can close it. We can open it back up whenever, but yeah.
So it would just be parking, and then you
Yeah.
leave your parking spot and turn right.
Yeah.
Right,
North,
it's one way only.
Yeah.
North 10th, when you go up to the college, North 10th, and you see the EW parking, that's really a city street. It's just been closed with EW1. And because of the steepness of the hill coming back down, we closed it with the parking. So that's just kind of it.
And you can keep this if you'd like. to look at it a little closer. Yeah, but if you looked over the renderings, you see anything, you're like, I don't know about that, just let me know. We're flexible.
Thanks, Brooke.
Thank you, bro.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Happy Valentine's Day.
I got a treat. I'm excited about that.
Okay, now we'll move on to the parks priority list. I highlighted what I think we should do.
It's not biased in any way.
See you in the morning.
Okay.
So this is the list that we all made in 2019 when we did the parks visit. And Dan put it in this Excel spreadsheet to show an estimated cost of certain things, what's been completed, what we're currently working on. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Yeah, so go ahead and take a look. We're still working on getting estimated costs for certain things, but just to give you an
I
idea.
think we should start small. And I think what we should need to work on is the grass in all the parks look horrible. And for some reason, the pipes are busting, and so then they can't water. So my question is, how come we don't have extra pipes? I don't do maintenance, so I don't know, but how come the pipes, they break and then we don't have replacement, like, on hand? We have to wait to order them and then it never comes in. That's my question.
I don't understand. We do have facilities with all the parks and everything else, yeah. So I don't know where you're hearing that.
Hearing it, I'm seeing it. And then we called and asked them. Kelly, you remember you called and asked?
She lives across from Hibbard.
Oh, Hibbert.
And that,
No, yeah. Hibbert has a totally different booster station problem that we've been dealing with on that. So, yeah, if you say that all the parks are like that, I would say, I don't know, we have pretty green parks in certain areas, but Hibbert has really been ignored over the last couple of years. So, yeah, Hibbert needs probably grass seed. All sprinklers really kind of work. They've been blown up in certain areas. But the booster station in that yellow shed, that's where we're having a major problem with it. Because they put the booster station underground and we've got nothing but electrical and pickup problems. That booster station is going to go inside that yellow building.
so do they fertilize all the parks?
Primarily the bigger parks.
Does the city of Cheney own the park that's up in Golden Hills? Or does
Pocket Park? Yeah.
They do, yeah. But we still do not have the one across from that's the park that's, or the middle school, sorry. The middle school.
Oh, that's next to 50 Acre, that small.
Yeah, that small park by the 58.
Harvest Bluff.
Harvest Bluff,
Yeah.
that's it. Is that still owned by Harvest
Yeah.
Bluff? It's city, Cheney does not own that one, right?
No. Yeah, we have the 50 acres.
Okay.
Reseeding the lawn at Hibbard is on the list too.
One of the other,
It's
and then one of the things where it says city to build a storage housing for Hibbert Park, that's addressing the booster pump that, and I think, so basically Todd's just talking about putting a little housing shelter over that pump and getting it ready to go. So it is definitely on one of the number one priorities here. If you look at the priority level column, the third one.
Do you have lights out there now? Because we had OK Electric go out and do the photo stuff. Take a look tonight
Lights, like where?
in the park.
In the park. There's lights in the park. Never seen them. Yeah, never seen them.
Okay.
And then I noticed on this lights also the, what do you call those, where you cook stuff?
Girls?
Grills, yeah. Do we really need those? You think so? Jackie?
Well, at Sutton, a lot of people.
Oh, you
Use
just see
those.
people using
That's
this?
Sutton, yeah.
So are we asking us to prioritize these, or just general thoughts for funding that?
Well, I think the question is that, staffing has been cut back. I only have 1.5 seasonals, and we try to keep them hired, but they come and go. So by the time we get in full operation, we're just mowing, irrigating, trying to keep up. If there is a priority that we need to do, then we just need to hopefully get enough seasonals, but if they're not trained enough for irrigation, then we have to kind of contract that out.
Could we hire in one more full-time parks staff?
We can hire 8 or 9 would be great to get a lot of this list done, but the problem is we can't find anybody. Seriously, it is a big problem.
Because
I'd love
I
to
would
have
think mowing the lawns alone takes a lot of time.
Yes,
Who mows all the lawns in the parks?
Harold,
Just one person?
1 to 2 guys.
Oh, wow.
Usually it's about a 3-day full time. And then when you realize it, those mowers don't last. They do cover a lot of miles. So they're pretty much repairing them and mowing and doing all that. And really what we do is we kind of steal some labor from the street department back and try to get things done.
So is that an hourly wage or a seasonal job?
Yep.
But it would be a full 40-hour week.
Yeah, it can be. There are some rules for the state as far as part-time, where they could only be able to work 20 hours a week for a certain amount of time, or 40 hours, but they wouldn't be able to work as long, so they're restricted in the number of hours to that end. So, but rotating through, we used to have it very nice where we might pick up a few high school kids in the summertime, and then they would go back, or we'd hire, some college students, and they go back a little later. So we kind of flexed it, kind of through. We still have some college students that go to class and come and work. We try to maintain a real flexible schedule, but it's just getting harder and harder to get people on the ground. And the people that we had one kid that just worked like crazy, and he's a senior this year, but he's committed to sports and he's not going to come back in the summertime. So hopefully the pool will get a little better. We'll just see.
When was the last time we put out a job posting for full-time parks?
Full-time parks,
Mm-hmm.
or just seasonal parks?
Full-time.
Full-time parks.
Was that when Matt was hired?
Yeah, but I don't even think that was a seasonal park. So,
Yeah.
I don't know how that worked.
Well, and is that budgeted? You could hire somebody full-time parks maintenance?
There's no question that we have a good source of money in the budget. Obviously the priorities go to Kelly to make sure that we have proper staff to staff the programs.
Sure.
And then we would take a look at some seasonals. One thing, here again, I don't want to take up all your time. One thing that we are kicking around is what we call a utility worker too, that can actually bounce between all divisions. So we're having that conversation as a full-time, because we're such seasonals. We would bring forces to pretty much other divisions of park during the summertime, but in the wintertime when you're not mowing lawns, we could shift them over to the street activities for plowing and doing the sidewalk. So it's kind of a conversation, because it's the struggle to try to hire seasonal people, because they're either already full-time job or not. So the benefit of having a full-time utility worker within the city that can bounce seems to be more favorable.
So we don't have enough work for a full-time salaried parks position to bring on now.
We could. I mean, we have Matt.
Yeah.
Matt's there. Harold is pretty much a full-time, but he's also split. between street and parks. That was kind of part of it as far as the budget goes. And then we have Larry, who is primarily street, but we also take part of his salary on parks. So that's really what kind of takes, amongst their other duties in the streets, they kind of bounce back and forth.
Yeah. So does Matt bounce back and forth, or is he just primarily parks?
He's 100% parks.
Okay. So if we hired one more full-time parks only salaried position to work with Matt, would that help alleviate that, or would we still need to pull from streets?
I don't know. Taking a look at maintenance and that type of stuff, what I'm seeing on your list, we just need to catch up on some stuff that just kind of dilapidated. Once we have that, then the question is, what do we look at as far as just maintenance items on that? We're starting to tackle the restrooms, buying CXTs. We're talking about replacing shelters. We kind of have an idea about Salmon, but we're proposing possibly 2 restrooms on both sides of the street, so it's not central into the forested area, because that is where we have a whole lot of problems. So we figured if we can bring the bathrooms almost to the sidewalk side, right on the street, we're not going to get that activity. We're doing a tree survey in Salmon. There's some dangerous trees in there to kind of open that space up just a little bit. Whether we do enough trees to remove, whether we can actually fit another playfield in there or extension of playfields. Yeah, we've had all sorts of conversations on that. But as far as I think Salnave is in kind of on our radar as far as the restrooms go. I think that would be kind of a priority for mitigation.
Yes.
For
those of us that live by Salmon.
Yeah. And kind of cleaning that up. As far as the shelter goes in Salmon, it's pretty good. We just did the roof on that to everything. I would suggest that we replace the shelter at Sutton. And obviously we're going to replace the shelter at Hibbert, with this project, but that's not going to be a bond item. So our park mitigation money, we're required to spend it within 6 years. So what happens is that with this boom that came in 2019, or 2009, when you talk about, Eagle Point, 660 apartment units, well, they pay a park mitigation fee for each one of those units. And we've had an explosion of apartments. So our mitigation money has just been creeping up and big. Now we have 6 years to spend that. So we do have a budget. Prior to that, we didn't hardly have a budget for that mitigation type money to that end. The dog park was part of the park mitigation money. So we do have park mitigation monies for capital. We can't use that for maintenance. We can stretch it and use it for replacement. So when we talk about CXT restrooms or shelters.
So let's just see it.
I'm sorry, concrete bathrooms, bulletproof concrete bathrooms. Okay. Sutton Park has a new one down below. That's a concrete structure.
So when we're looking at this list, you're saying that the restrooms are the main priority right now?
I would say that we're looking at probably to spend our mitigation money wisely, or what we have. You notice that we replace a lot of playgrounds, park mitigation money. Now you're starting to see the CXT at Sutton and Moose, park mitigation money. The CXT that is right here in Hagelin, park mitigation money. But we are running out of park mitigation money. But we have a lot to spend in certain years and not so much in others, because we have that 6-year criteria. So, this year, Dan and I are sitting down and kind of crunching the numbers. We feel that we would probably try to prioritize that to 2 more restrooms in Salmon, try to get a shelter in. And then the next years, because we haven't done a lot of building, so we don't have a lot of park mitigation money, that's dwindling. So now we need to kind of see where we're at. Even though we'd like to save up a good chunk of money and have a big project, but when you have 20 or 30,000 coming in each year and you don't have that much, and then you have to start spending at that 6 year, you really don't have it, you know, to that end. So it's kind of this accounting thing that, yeah, look, we got a bunch of money, let's go for it because we have to spend it. And then some years we don't have anything, we only have like $10,000 to spend, and that's hard of a capital project, so what can we replace? So.
I'm trying to think, the playground equipment there at Salnave in the city park.
Mhm.
Is that for older kids? Or is that
I think there was, I can't recall, I think we did for younger kids, but we might have kept the older stuff there for the larger kids, or did we move that out?
And it seems like that would be a good place to have for little ones.
Yeah.
Because their older brothers and sisters are
Playing ball, yeah.
playing either
Yeah.
soccer,
We got the little league and
Baseball.
soccer going on, yep.
you know, and then the little people are just
Yeah.
running around.
Give them something to do, yeah.
My kids love that.
Is there anything else, Bud, that you think that should be on the priority list?
I think this is pretty comprehensive, and we've got it marked out what we think we need to do relatively soon with the ones in the priority level column. So if you guys want to take a look at this and come back later or email me and let me know if you have differing opinions to what's marked on here.
I think a lot of that list, when you see it, is probably a lot of staff seasonal work. If we can get the work crew together, we can get them focused on this type of stuff. Yeah, we can probably have it done. As far as Hibbert Park, you know, I think that's almost a complete loss on the grass. Where the youth, yeah. and really it was a victim of, yeah, it really was a victim of you know, the water shortage that we had over the years. 50 Acre Park was the same thing because of the water shortage, and yeah, great, we drilled well 3, we had a lot of water coming in, and guess what, we lost well 5, and that's, you know, when we get a good production and something else happens. So,
Apologies, going back to your Cheney Parks, where are those jobs posted? Because just doing a quick Google search, there's not even any sort of listings for a part-time listing.
If you go to City of Cheney,
Is it posted on?
yeah, it's posted on the city website. You go to the How To tab, and then it says Apply for Jobs, and click on that, and it has all of our employment opportunities with the city.
but when we go out for full-time, and I don't know about you know, part-time jobs, but we go out for full-time when we post there, we get a lot from like Indeed. We're kind of connected in that area.
I'm just wondering if we couldn't just tie into this class. I mean, they're studying to do this.
Parks maintenance?
Everything to do with parks, recreation. We actually, at least my class went to the Parks and Rec convention and got involved with a lot of like playground maintenance, internships. I mean, a lot of this stuff, a lot of us could apply for summer jobs, full-time jobs, doing park maintenance, running.
We've had interns from Eastern that has been great. We love interns. Paid interns, you know, to that end, we have that source. Yeah, and we've had a lot of really good interns that come in, and they do seek jobs. And I'll give you our GPS GIS department. I think we have one of the sound departments of that. We get a lot of planning students that come in, and they realize how well they like GIS and GPS, and we train them and we want to bring them on the city, and Vista hires them. So those are the things. Yeah, so we do have good programs here, and I would love to get together and make sure that is out, that there, you know, if you're summertime, you're sticking in Cheney, there are some opportunities. If you want to take a class and try to get familiar with our park systems to that end, great, we can show you kind of how it runs and everything else.
Absolutely, and if I could make a recommendation, I know a lot of at least students my age graduating, I'm senior this year, just looking at, all of us do a quick Google, 90% of us do like a Google search just on Indeed, even just putting those out there on Indeed, just for basic paid, non-paid internships, job opportunities like that. I know you might get a lot more traffic flow going through those websites than posting it on the website necessarily, but I know a lot of our classes are very interested in the health productivity.
Well, even, park maintenance, kind of park management, kind of an intern, if they can get credits towards that summer work too, and then get paid, that's pretty good.
Absolutely. Our professors work a lot with us on showing us a lot of job opportunities, so even if you guys have time, sending an email to Chris Hendrick, Matt, Dr.
Jeremy
Matt Chase,
Jostad.
Jeremy Jostad, they would be, it's ecstatic to see job openings and positions.
Locals, yeah, I totally agree.
Okay.
A lot of them are in Spokane or even further.
Yes, like I would be in the lake, this, so.
One of the things, if I had my way, if I had enough seasonal people, and it was a strategy that we used quite a few years ago, when you have enough seasonal people, you can take 2 people and you can give them 1 park or 2 parks and say, you're in charge of this, sprinklers, maintenance, pulling the weeds, mowing the lawns, everything. It's your baby. And it's easy to then manage because you're not spread out.
And I will say that is an exciting opportunity for a young recreation manager.
Yep. Hey, Chris, you're gonna control this.
I'm sorry. Sorry to get you on
That's why I'm
that
not the best person to be in this job. Anything else on that? Okay, action items.
None.
Tree board business.
None.
Board members reports. Jackie's got a cute shirt on today.
Aww.
Staff report.
You can take the teacher out of this school.
No staff reports.
No.
Okay, do I have a,
I move this meeting be adjourned.
I second.
Okay, thanks, everyone.
Take a brownie.
Do we have like one Zoom?
Another products meeting right now?
Huh?
Okay.
Yeah.
Look at poker face there.
I do have a question.
Yeah.